coming into this weekend, I feel like there's not as many heavy hitters on the schedule on the weekend slate for this week 11. And I think that's because there's a glaring issue. Yes, everyone said that when the 12-team playoff was introduced, it would make games further down the line in the season, hence the month of November, more exciting because more games had more weight to them. More games had playoff implications. More games and more upsets could happen and spoil multiple teams' playoff chances. And yes, that can still happen in November, but there's not as much volume as it feels like there should be for excitement into this weekend especially, or last weekend. And I think it's because of one major factor. It's the conferences. I think that the conferences, there are some, aka all of them, who have too many teams. And what does that do? That oversaturates the in-conference schedule. So a lot of teams could have a bad season or a great season based on their schedule. When we're looking at the Big Ten, there are so many teams, and look at like Oregon. Oregon is a team that has destroyed the bottom half of the Big Ten because their schedule allows it. There are so many teams in that conference. You're going to have weekends where it's a dud. And we're starting to see more and more weekends like this just be full of duds. And yes, we had those exciting week fives. We had some exciting September weekend games, October games that were huge. But now we've kind of settled into things. I think there are going to be a couple next week and the week after, and especially rivalry week. But it's just something to think about. Is the market oversaturated with the conference realignment? Just something to think about. But hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College Football Under Review, show made by a football fan for football fans everywhere. And this is our Week 11 preview episode. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. It really helps us know that you enjoy the content, helps us out, and it shows that you want to be a part of the Under Review community. And someone who has been part of the Under Review community since the college football season started is 38 Hot Tubs. And let me tell you about him. 38 Hot Tubs is family-owned and American-built, supplying Viking tubs that feature high-quality material and superior components, ensuring that every aspect of the hot tub is designed to last for years to come. When it comes to relaxation, recovery, and overall well-being, few things compare to the soothing experience of a high-quality hot tub. And for Rob Abel, it's all about helping people improve their health and quality of life. Whether you're an athlete looking for muscle recovery or someone who simply wants to unwind after a long day, soaking in a hot tub can provide numerous benefits. The ideal combination of warm water and hydrotherapy jets can ease tension and lower cortisol levels to help combat anxiety. A hot tub even promotes better blood flow, which leads to better muscle recovery, reduced soreness, and improved flexibility, combined with overall cardiovascular health improvements. Even a nice nighttime soak can improve sleep quality by relaxing the body and mind before bed. So if you're interested in experiencing the therapeutic benefits of a Viking spa, reach out to Rob Abel today. And if you mention this ad to Rob, your journey to relaxation and wellness starts with a $200 discount off one spa and $600 for an order of two. 38 Hot Tubs. Whether you're looking for relief from some sore muscles, a way to enhance your fitness routine, or simply a place to relax with family and friends, Rob is here to help you find the perfect hot tub to fit your needs. Now, me and Rob have talked a little bit about, doing a little segment, 38 Hot Tubs hot seat. So we'll see if anyone gets on the hot seat this weekend. But I think it's safe to assume it's either probably Mike Norvell. But outside of that, let's take college football under review. And we've got our game of the week at 11 a.m. on Saturday. Number 7, BYU at number 8, Texas Tech. This game has big implications on not only the Big 12 title race, but the playoffs, as well as the conference, because both of these teams are ranked inside of the top 10 within the committee's poll. And a loss for BYU would not only shake up the Big 12 title race again, and give us a look into how much the committee values the Big 12 conference talent level, because it'll be interesting if BYU loses, how much they drop, because I think that they value this Texas Tech team more with one loss and all that they have done, because they've got them right behind BYU, and BYU really hasn't played anyone crazy. But BYU is, of course, coming into this matchup ranked higher than Texas Tech, but the team's statistics would say otherwise. Right now, Texas Tech is ranked 5th in the nation, and their defense is in the top 10. BYU, on the other hand, doesn't even crack the top 25, with the offense ranked 34th and the defense overall total ranked 27th. Texas Tech also has the experience of playing better opponents, in my opinion, while BYU has played only one ranked team on their schedule as of now. I think offensively, these teams are great at converting third downs and have an average time of possession around 30 minutes each. I think Texas Tech, they have to protect Bryn Morton in this game, because Hammond, their star-studded backup quarterback that came in and saved the day against Utah, he's out for the season. And so Texas Tech really has to protect Bryn Morton, not only from sacks, but injury as well. And for BYU, I think this is going to be Bear Brockmeyer's, their quarterback's biggest test really he has faced all season. Yes, they've gone into road environments, but they've handled themselves pretty well when it comes to just overall beating up the lesser Big 12 teams. But this is really a just completely different team, in my opinion, size and skill as well. This is 100% a do or die game, I think, for Texas Tech, as one more loss would most likely kick them out of the playoffs. But I do think that this game will go Texas Tech's way. They will come out with a win. They're at home. I think that their $28 million roster is going to show up. I think Bear Brockmeyer is great. I just don't think that he's going to be able to handle the Texas Tech defense, as their offense isn't as, like I said, statistically up there. And you may say, oh, well, statistics don't matter. Well, it's interesting to look at, because you can't get anything more black and white than numbers. So give me Texas Tech in this awesome Big 12 matchup that I am excited to watch, because I think I can, because it's not part of ESPN on YouTube TV. I'm not going to get into that. But what I will get into is at 2:30 p.m., number 3, Texas A&M at 22, Missouri. Just want to remind y'all, too, we are not going off of AP poll. We are going off of the College Football Playoff Committee. Their first rankings came out on Tuesday, so I'm using those from now on, because that's what matters. And we will no longer be reacting to the absolutely preposterous poll. Thank the Lord. But back to Texas A&M at Missouri. Texas A&M really has been dominant all season, but November is their crux. They have historically not been great in this month as a program, but I do not think that they will blink against this Missouri team. And why is that? It's because Texas A&M is in a spot to where they must do everything they can to make sure they're in the playoffs, because this program hasn't seen the amount of success like this since 2021, when Jimbo Fisher got this team to one of the first 2 teams out of the playoff. But I think that Mike Elko and this team won't be thinking about the playoffs, but the game against Missouri this weekend. Mike Elko, I've sung his praises all season. He has changed the culture there. He has gotten it out of their head that, yes, they're Texas A&M. They're huge. They've got all this money, but they're just as beatable as anyone else, and they come in with more physicality than I have seen in a while. But the Texas A&M explosive offense has the ability this season to they are having the ability this season to have such a good offense that they have surpassed 40 points in a game 5 times. And this offense is led by Marcel Reed, who has only given up the ball 6 times to interceptions. And he has thrown and rushed for a combined 23 touchdowns on the season. Their defense, on the other hand, too, dominates and suffocates opponents to the point to where they can score against you, but those third downs are very difficult. And when we look at it, they're at an away game. Outside of the LSU game, they really haven't done well stopping opponents in scoring, but I don't think that this Missouri team has it in them, because Missouri, their quarterback, Bo Pribula, went down in the third quarter of the Vanderbilt game 2 weeks ago. So, third-string freshman quarterback Matt Zollers will start since the injury has knocked Pribula out of the season. This means that the Missouri team, cannot allow sacks against quarterback Zollers because he's more of a pocket passing quarterback and utilizes his arm more than his legs. As Eli Drinkwitz has stated, that is his strong suit. He is a passer through and through, so I doubt that his scrambling ability is going to show up much. And if Texas A&M can get some pressure on him, it will probably force him to make errors and probably turnovers. And for Missouri, they've had great teams, but they just can't beat the good SEC teams because they lost to 3 SEC teams last season, and it looks like they're going to lose to 3 SEC teams this season. But overall, when it comes down to the game, Missouri is fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive with only 2 losses, but like I said, the Texas A&M defense is going to be way too much for the quarterback. And then, so overall, I'm going to take Texas A&M in this game. They seem like the more dominant squad. They seem like the more experienced one. And with Bo Pribula out, it's tough to get a quarterback for his first full game to go against a tough Texas A&M team ranked number 3 in the nation. So that brings us to 2:30 p.m. Number 6 Oregon at number 20 Iowa. Excuse me, I messed up there. Number 9 Oregon at 20 Iowa. So Oregon all season has been looking like this great team, but they have yet to have a great win against a great opponent, because that Penn State win down to the wire doesn't seem to be maturing as well as they would have liked. It's going to be a tough game for Oregon too, because Iowa could have an answer for Dante Moore and have really gained some midseason momentum for the Hawkeyes. And when we're talking about Oregon, overall, the committee seems to not take this team as seriously as the AP poll because, one, they haven't played anyone. And I think that this final month of November could either break them or help them build a good resume. They actually play the next 4 weeks tough opponents in the Big Ten, and they are not the bottom 1/3 of teams in the Big Ten, who are about a combined 2 for 31. Which is not good for a record. But Oregon, they are, even though they are winning against these, bottom tier Big Ten teams, they're still dominating against them. They post over 450 yards per game and over 40 points per game. And we'll have to face, and I say face, this really good Iowa defense who only allows an average of 13.3 points per game. So it's going to be really big to see, okay, Oregon, is your offense for real? Is it able to go against a tough defense, or are you just beating up on these rinky-dink opponents? But Iowa's defense can't do everything, though. to win this game. Their offense heavily relies on the run game with 4 running backs above 200 yards this season. So Iowa really is going to have to rely on their run game. But one stat that really goes against Iowa is that it has lost its last 11 games against ranked opponents. But they're on a 3-game win streak, and they absolutely killed Minnesota 2 weeks ago. I think the biggest thing the Iowa program in this game has going for it is that they historically do well in November. They are playing at home and are 17-3 since 2015 at home. And their offense is really finally coming alive under quarterback Mark Gronowski, the transfer quarterback from South Dakota State FCS. So if the Iowa defense is able to keep it close, and I think they will, I'm actually going to give this game to Iowa because I think the home field advantage will complicate the Oregon offense. And I think Oregon, after being number 9, are kind of confused. They're already having some midseason drama, a player not even showing up to practice. He's transferring out. I think that this Iowa team upsets Oregon, and Oregon is kind of already knocked out of the playoffs. I think Oregon's a great team, but I think that 9 from the committee is really going to sit in the players' heads, not the best. And I think that Dante Moore is going to actually have some trouble against this Iowa team. This Iowa team is really on the move, and I think that this win against Oregon will be huge for the program. So give me Iowa to upset Oregon. And then at 6:30 p.m., Navy at number 10, or Navy and Notre Dame face off. I believe it will be in Lincoln Financial Field. But this game, it's an old rivalry, but I don't think anything new will happen as the Notre Dame offense has been dominant all season. And after North Texas, this Navy defense has shown major cracks to defending a great passing quarterback. And on the other hand, Navy could be here, though, to spoil the Notre Dame playoff appearance, but a lot more is going to have to go right than wrong for them. Notre Dame has, I think this and Pitt are their last 2 just tough games, but outside of that, they should be able to waltz in the playoffs. The Navy run-heavy offense may be cool and work in the group of 5 with even line of scrimmage, but Notre Dame will most likely bully the Navy offensive line and limit the run, forcing Horvath to throw the ball more on 3rd and longs. And the defense for Navy also got absolutely torched by the North Texas pass game, and Notre Dame has a great quarterback now, so they should still be worried about CJ Carr. But not only are they able to throw it in the air, but they have a dominant running back duo with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, who have a combined 19 touchdowns on the season. When we always look at academy programs and teams, they always have the ability to show up sometimes and shock audiences because they run the run option heavy schemes and give defenses unique play calls they don't typically see anywhere else. So you see a lot of first half just strong performances and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to win. And then the second half, they make all the adjustments. The opposing team makes all the adjustments and they just dominate them. And I think that's what's going to happen. Really, to win this game, Navy must attempt to get as many 3rd and shorts to convert as possible, and they need to limit turnovers because compared to last season, they had so many turnovers after there was so much hype for them. And also they have to limit CJ Carr's passing attack. With all of that combined, I think Navy just has too much to handle in this game unless CJ Carr gives up some turnovers, but the Notre Dame team knows that one more loss means it's over, and I doubt that Marcus Freeman is going to let that happen to them. So, let's move on to the other notable games that will happen this weekend. 8 p.m. Friday game, Friday Night Lights, Tulane at Memphis. Memphis was ranked in the AP. They are not in the College Football Playoff Committee, but they are still the best Group of 5 team in the playoffs as of right now. And I think that this Tulane game is really the only one left on Memphis's schedule that could really prove to be a problem and a potential loss on the season, as John Sumrall probably wants to make sure his name is at the top of the list to make a Power 4 job. When we're looking at Friday night games, this season, Friday nights are when the upsets happen. It's when the teams that shouldn't win against higher ranked opponents, quotations ranked around Memphis because they're ranked in the AP. And I think that's exactly what Tulane is going to do. They've got Jake Retzlaff, who has been dominant on the ground, and we saw USF give Memphis trouble with the run game. And I think that's going to show up again. He's the type of quarterback who can throw and pass at the same skill level. We saw him get shut down against Ole Miss, but outside of that, he's been playing pretty good this season. And they've got some wins against some Power 4 teams. So Memphis, though, they are working with their backup quarterback. They had the amazing win against USF. And this team just looks like they are well disciplined. They don't have many penalty problems in games. And I think that they are just an overall solid team. But I think that Tulane has the ability to upset in this game. I think John Sumrall is really going to have his players in 110% game mode because John Sumrall is really on the not hot seat, but he has a chance to be one of the top coaches in this coaching carousel. And because of that, I think he's going to do everything he can to make sure that Tulane upsets Memphis. And that will continue to shake up the American Athletic Conference. So Friday at 8 p.m., give me Tulane. And now we get to Saturday, 11 a.m., number 5 Georgia at Mississippi State. Georgia this season, time and time again, has found themselves behind going into halftime. And I think that this Mississippi State team has the ability to do something pretty crazy on Saturday and make them learn their lesson against a bad Georgia secondary. The Bulldogs have been winning, but that's just about all they have done, as they've been playing from behind the majority of the season and have been lacking the dominance that I think everyone can agree that we're used to seeing from Kirby Smart's teams. But the last time that Georgia lost to Mississippi State was all the way back in 2010 at Stark Vegas, which is one of the more difficult stadiums to play in. That's in my opinion. I've been to that stadium. Yeah, the cowbells, they're pretty loud. But for Georgia, Gunnar Stockton has been looking better and better as the season goes on, and he's been performing at the standard of winning when it comes time to. They may be down a lot in these games, but when he needs to win, he will find a way to win. That's what they have done all season. And I think just speaking on Gunnar Stockton and this team led by him, he doesn't have like the most insane numbers, but I feel like they play like a complete offense when he is looking good. And when I say looking good, they're not throwing 20 million bubble screen passes because Mike Bobo loves it. But when they're actually trusting him to make big plays, he has the potential to do so. And I think that he has that locker room behind his back. But for Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby and this team has finally gotten over their SEC hump after getting a win last week against Arkansas. Though the biggest concern for me is Mississippi State's offense. Yes, it's effective. It's good. Blake Shapen has revived that offense, that program. They are able to put up great numbers. But when their offense is not clicking and they give up the ball too fast, when their offense isn't clicking, it allows the opponent more opportunities to come back and win. It happened against Tennessee, and it happened against Texas. They were both able to come back from big deficits and beat Mississippi State because their offense wasn't clicking and they weren't converting third downs. The Georgia secondary isn't the best, but there are too many times this season that Mississippi State has lost when leading, and Georgia has done the exact opposite by coming back all season and winning. And I think that this is just going to be another stereotypical Georgia comeback win, or I think Georgia has the potential to finally put their foot down and say, no, we've figured out everything. We're ready for Texas on our schedule. So, yeah, give me Georgia. I'm taking Georgia for that game. And then 6 p.m., Florida State at Clemson. Now, I haven't looked at what channel this game is going to be on, but I would probably assume that it's going to be on Comedy Central with how these two teams have played this season. This very well could be a gladiator fight to the death for two coaches on the hot seats, possibly, but I don't think Dabo really is on the hot seat just because he's done so much for Clemson. But I think both of them are fighting to keep kind of favor in their job, and that's why I have this as one of the notable games this weekend. These two Titans once ruled the ACC, but have now been the laughingstocks this season after promising starts. The Clemson Tigers have had 20 years in a row of bowl eligibility, but this season, that record is in jeopardy as they only have 3 wins. So, and Mike Norvell and FSU finally got an ACC win. I believe in the last, they didn't win any ACC games this season, and they only have one this season. So one ACC win in the last 2 years. So what has led to this? Well, first off, it's the defense for Clemson have allowed 24 points per game under the first-year defensive coordinator Tom Allen, and the Clemson Tigers have done terrible in the fourth quarter all season. And then we look at Florida State. Florida State last week, they finally won that ACC matchup in dominant fashion, surprisingly enough. Florida State, though, this season has played poorly in road environments, losing all of their road games this season, which is just bad. The offense has been one of the more electric and fun aspects of this team, and when the defense actually complements them, the program looks great, but they have yet to done so very little this season. Both coaches possibly playing for their jobs. I think Dabo is slowly on his way out just because the athletic director seems to be more involved, though I don't think he will be canned because there are honestly so many other coaching availabilities. It's going to be tough for Clemson to be able to keep up with everyone else. So I don't know if Clemson even gets rid of Dabo Swinney this season and has to bite the bullet and wait till next season when they have a more favorable coaching carousel. But I think that Dabo Swinney deserves to finish out the season, and I'm going to give this game to Clemson. I think Clemson can beat Florida State just because I think Dabo Swinney is going to try and fight for some dignity before he goes down. So, yep, give me Clemson. And then number 6 p.m., we've got Wake Forest at number 14, Virginia. Virginia now takes the seat as the top 10 team in the ACC, but Wake Forest has been a dark horse team that is having a great season under first head coach Jake Dickert, and I think that they could cause some problems. Virginia has been able to win, and that has been their story this season. They just win, and 3 of those wins have gone into overtime, and many others having gone down to one possession scores. This 8-1 start for Virginia is the best it has been since 1990, and this is the first time that they have been 5-0 in conference or in ACC play. The offense for Virginia has been playing good enough to win, with no crazy stat lines, which allows the team to have a balanced attack, and no one aspect really controls the team that allows opposing defenses to really shut down this Virginia offense. Though Virginia's big problem for any school finding success like this when it wasn't presumed that there would be is that good old saying, that good old rat poison, the ability to become distracted based on what the media is saying. So I'm curious to see if that will happen, because I think this is the game that could upset this Virginia team if they are lacking in the headspace and they have taken a bite of that good old rat poison. Because Wake Forest, they could feel dejected or they could feel hungry because they just came off the worst loss of their season under their new head coach, losing to Florida State around 43 or 47-3, and they had 11 penalties in that game, so they were not disciplined at all. And even though this program looks to be doing better than last season, the trend that's been with this Wake Forest team for a while is that they have lost 8 straight games against ranked opponents since 2022. And now the offense really has been the highlight for the Deacons with a dual quarterback style of play, with running back Damon Claiborne as a great threat to have in the backfield with 8 touchdowns on the season. I think that Virginia will be able to get this done, but I think this is going to be a very big scare that Wake Forest is going to give Virginia. And if Virginia loses, it could probably be the end of their season, or it could be kind of the slap in the butt that they need proverbially to finish out the season strong and make the ACC championship. So give me Virginia in this game. And then our last notable game, 6 p.m., California is at number 15, Louisville. California must travel to Kentucky to face Louisville, who may be, in my opinion, underrated in the eyes of the committee, as I believe they are disrespecting this team who has 1 loss and a win against Miami. And who's their other loss to? Oh, yeah, an overtime loss to number 14, Virginia. California, though, has shown glimpses of success on the offense under offensive coordinator, past Auburn head coach Brian Harsin, and quarterback Sagapulatele, but the 9 interceptions on the season for him have not helped this team achieve the success they may have wanted coming into 2025. After the team for California had a strong first half of the season, they have slowly began to decline in offensive production, currently sitting 108th in the country for yards per game. Cal is going to have a very difficult time facing Louisville and their defense on third downs, as Louisville limits opponents to a 32.1 conversion rate. And when we're talking about Louisville, they have had a dominant season, only dropping the 1 game to Virginia, who leads the conference. I'm very excited to see how this Louisville team looks down the stretch in November, and if they can really win these games in dominant fashion to make a real playoff push and potentially make the ACC championship. And I definitely think they have the ability to do so behind quarterback Miller Moss, and with their defense not only showing up, but showing out, ranking 11th in the nation. Though the biggest problem this Louisville team has is shooting itself in the foot. This team faces penalty yards within games so much that they have an average of 65 penalty yards against them, which is just not good at all. I think Louisville should easily win this game, but I think the more important question is how they win this game and how they move forward from this win for the rest of November. So that wraps up our notable games of the week. Now, let's get into not the AP poll, but the College Football Playoff Committee poll. So here is the poll, and I'll still give my overall thoughts. I think the committee got a lot of this poll correct, but there are some minor gripes I have and some obvious takeaways that we can look at from here. First is that they are not really taking the ACC seriously. They have Virginia and Louisville both, and Georgia Tech both with all three with 1 losses, and they don't even crack the top 13 with teams like Notre Dame with 2 losses that are in the top 10, and Texas with 2 losses at 11. Oklahoma, 2 losses at 12. Utah with 2 losses. No, I think they got 1 loss. Have to double check that. But that's something that's just shocking to me. I understand that the conference isn't that strong, but we really have to start looking at these are 1-loss teams, and I think that there's a right for them to be ranked a little bit higher. They've played just as good as Utah, Oklahoma, and Texas, in my opinion. And then the other thing is Notre Dame at 10. It just shows us that they're always going to overvalue Notre Dame and what they bring. They're going to bring a lot of viewership and money, obviously. I just don't think it's very fair, and I've said it multiple times again, that Notre Dame with 2 losses is ahead of some of these teams that have better resumes and only have 1 loss. Is honestly I'm just getting tired of it at this point. And then the last one is, it seems like the committee, and if things shake out, the SEC could get 4 or 5 teams in the playoff. 5 teams is a very big stretch, but it still looks like a possibility, which is wild to say. And then let's take a look at the college football playoff projection now that we have the first one. And I do want to say that, yes, it is fun to look at the playoff projection 4 weeks out, but the real fact of the matter is that the rankings really don't matter, or the rankings do matter, but the projection and outlook of the playoff doesn't look anywhere close to what we will see and anywhere close to being accurate until really the week leading up to conference championships, where we only have a select few teams and we can kind of guess what it looks like. Because BYU and Texas Tech are both in this, but one of them will probably be kicked out after this weekend. And we still will have multiple games that will shake out. But right now, I think it's an interesting look at the playoffs. And remember, we're doing straight seeding format. There is no, if you win your conference, you get an automatic buy, or not buy, but bid. But the top 4 overall ranked teams get a bye. I think that this would be a very exciting playoff if it were to happen even now. I think it has the ability to be even more exciting come the next couple of weeks and what it could shape out to be. I think that there are a lot more teams that definitely can win the national championship this year in this playoff. And I think it will be very interesting to see if, like last season, if maybe a team with the 6 or 7 seed get a much better look than one of the teams with a bye, or one of the teams with a bye. But that is the playoff projection. It's always interesting to look at. And then let's look at our Heisman hype seat. Our Heisman hype seat, it's going to Julian Sayin. Now, I'm putting him up here because the odds makers have him at first at plus 175, but I've got a couple of things I have to say about Julian Sayin. First off, he's a good quarterback, but he's a good quarterback on a great team. And even though I have him on here as the hype seat, I don't think he's going to win the Heisman. Why? He hasn't been challenged at all this season. He can lean on his defense and his top 2 receivers, being Jeremiah Smith and Cornell Tate. He is not a game-changing player. He's just an above-average player on a great offense and a even a better and amazing defense. But we have him on here as the Heisman hype seat because we are unbiased and he is the favorite to win. I don't think that will happen, but that's why he's on here. I think he's a great player. In 1 or 2 years, he will easily win the Heisman. But this season, I just don't think he deserves it. I don't think he is a game changer for that team. And I think that's what the Heisman really should be. A great player, somewhat statistically. I mean, the statistics are obviously going to play a factor, but it has to be someone that really changes the game, the one that wills the team to win. And Julian Sayin may be helping the team win, but I don't think he is justifiably the game changer in that program. But that wraps up our Week 11 recap episode. Sunday, we are finishing our preview episode. My bad. But Sunday is our Week 11 recap episode. I'm Nick Watts. Thank all of you for tuning in to this episode, and we'll see you next time when we take more college football under review.